Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Montoya. So today I will be teaching you how to make a duster. Now you can either choose to make a full-length duster or you can choose to do the midi length. Now I did both, but in this tutorial I will be cutting and sewing the mid-length one, but you can still follow the same exact steps to do the full-length duster. Alright, let's go over the materials that you will need. For this tutorial, you'll need your fabric, you'll need some coordinating thread, you'll need New Look pattern 6514, you'll need the pocket pattern, a ruler, a fabric marking tool, and a paper marking tool, some fabric scissors, fabric scissors, some sewing pins, a seam ripper, and either a seam gauge or an index card to do your hems. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, to determine which size to cut out, you want to look where it says bust, and you want to follow that over to your bust measurement. Now for me, that's 36 inches, so I lie in this range, so I would cut out the medium. But I know that for the look that I'm going for, I want more of a slimmer look, so I'm going to look where it says garment measurements. Now this tells us what the finished measurements of our jacket will be. So for the medium, the finished garment will be 41 inches. Now that's a little bit too much for the look that I'm going for. I want more of a slimmer look, so I'm going to go to the left, and I see that that is 37 inches. Now that gives me about an inch of ease in the bust area, or in other words, 1 inch of room. Because I want more of a fitted look in the bust area, 1 inch of ease is fine with me, so I'm going to end up cutting out the small. Next, to determine how much fabric you will need for your project, you want to look in this area here. If you want to do the full length version, you will look where it says A, and you will follow that over to the line that says 45. Now this 45 stands for the width of your fabric. Now if you're using Ankara like me or wax print, then your fabric is around this width as well. Now you want to continue moving your way over until you end up in the column with your size. Now I'm cutting out the small, so in my column it says that I will need 3 3/8 of a yard of fabric. If you are cutting out the mid-length version, you will need to go where it says B, and you want to follow that over to the column with your size. So for me, I'm cutting out the small, so I will need 3 yards of fabric to complete my look. Alright, if you're not sure how to cut out the pattern according to your size, you'll see on the pattern that there are letters representing the size. You'll follow the line that is your size, and you can tell the difference. Some of the lines are dashes, some have dashes and dots, some lines are solid. So you want to find the line and you want to find the letter representing your size. And this pattern is really good. It marks your size in multiple spots. So for example, I cut out the small, I see an S here, and I'm going to be guiding with this line, and then I see another S, then down at the bottom I see another S, and then this line here is just solid, so that means it's for all sizes. And then right at the top I see another S, so I know that that's for me, and another S. So that's how you can guide along the lines to cut out the pattern according to your size. If you are cutting out the full length version, then you're going to cut down here where it says cutting line for view A. You're going to cut along this line for your length. If you decide to do the midi length, which I'm going to do, you'll cut along the this line here. It says cutting line for view B. So I'm going to cut along this line. And then for pattern piece number 2, the back part, you also want to cut where it says cutting line for view B, and you want to find the size that you cut out. So I cut out the small, and I can tell by looking at this line, it looks just like the other small. So I'm going to cut along that line. Right here, I'm labeling the pattern pieces because in the future I plan to tape these back. So I'm labeling them with the pattern number and labeling it for the back and then also labeling it for the front. Alright, next on your pattern piece, we're going to be looking at pattern piece number 2. You want to find the line where it says waistline, and then you want to find the line here. From this waistline mark, you want to find the line, and then from this line you want to measure down 1/2 inch, and we're going to mark it only here in the corner. So from this line I measure down 1/2 inch. And then right here in the corner, I'm going to mark that. Okay, and make sure that you're on pattern piece number 2. Next, what you want to do is still have pattern piece number 2 at the bottom. You want to take pattern piece number 1 and you're actually going to turn it upside down. And right here, you'll see there are some triangles here, and then there are for pattern piece number 1, and then you'll see the triangle notches. These are notches. You want to line up the ones from pattern piece number 1 with pattern piece number 2. Once you have those lined up, go ahead and place something there to hold it in place. Next, what you want to do is, I use the Sharpie so I can see through it. What you want to do is now, right where you made that mark on pattern piece number 2, you're going to now transfer that onto pattern piece number 1. And then you're going to label that pocket. Alright, and we will mark these notches so we know where to start our pocket. Alright, next go ahead and lay out your fabric. Now you want to fold it in half, and you want to make sure that you fold it so that the selvage edge to the selvage edge is touching on this side, and also that the selvage edge to the selvage edge are touching on this side. So 2 sides of selvage edges, and you want to make sure that the right side of the fabric is on the inside. Now what you want to do is go ahead and lay out your pattern pieces. So I'm taking pattern piece number 1, and I'm placing it over here on the edge. I'm going to place my sleeve. Pattern piece number 5 is going right in the middle. And then pattern piece number 2, the back, is going to go on the other side. Then I'm going to take pattern piece number 3, and you'll see that there is a grain line arrow here. You want to make sure that this arrow is going with the grain, so it's going in this direction. So I'm going to place that here. And then with pattern piece number 4, we'll cut this out separately because we do need to cut this out on the fold. And even though we have a fold up here, this isn't going with the way of the stretch of the fabric. But we'll do that in a second. You can go ahead and set that one to the side. So then now go ahead and pin all of these in place. So when I'm pinning my pattern pieces in place, I like to pin in the major corners. And another thing to note, before you pin, make sure that your arrow, so this is the grain line arrow, make sure that your pattern piece isn't twisted in any way, and make sure that this arrow is nice and straight. Alright, so then for the pocket pattern, we need a total of 4 of these. So I'm going to cut it out once, and then I'm going to cut it out again a second time. So that'll give me a total of 4 pockets. What I'm going to end up doing for pattern piece number 4 is using the extra fabric down here. So what I'm going to do is take this fabric and I'm going to fold it in half, and then I will cut out pattern piece number 4, and I'll show you how to do that. So go ahead and pin your pocket down in place and cut everything out, and then let's come back and I'll show you how to cut out this piece. To cut out pattern piece number 4, what you want to do is, so take your fabric, the piece that we had left down at the bottom, or any piece that you have. You'll only need 1 layer because we're getting ready to fold it. So I'm taking 1 off and placing that to the side. And you'll see I have a selvage edge here. Now you want to, so I have the selvage edge here. What you want to do is fold your fabric in half. And you want to take pattern piece number 4, and where it says center fold, you want to line up that edge with the fold, and you're going to pin this in place and cut it out. Now it's time to transfer all of our notches and our dots. So first we're going to start off with the pocket. So remember we made a line here to mark our pocket. You want to go ahead and make a snip. So marking the notch, I cut about 1/4 of an inch deep. I have a triangle here, so this is a notch that we need to mark. So what you want to do is cut a small snip there. And then you'll see in the armhole area there are 2 notches. So I'm going to make a small snip there. And then there's another one here on the shoulder and one in the neck area. And there are also 3 notches here. So I'm going to mark those, cutting 3 small notches. Now to transfer our circle marking. So you want to find the size that you cut out. I cut out the small, so I'm going to take a pin and I'm going to push it right through that circle. And then I'm going to just peel back the pattern, and right where that pin is coming out, I'm going to mark a dot. Then I'm going to take the fabric and flip it over to the back, and right where the pin is coming out, I'm going to also mark a dot. So you want to do that for all of your pattern pieces. Wherever you see the triangle mark, you're going to make a snip for the pocket, and wherever you see a circle, you want to transfer that. So you're going to do that on all of your pattern pieces. And also make sure you do that on the pocket as well, marking a notch here at the top and down here at the bottom. Alright, so now that everything is cut out and marked, we're going to start sewing everything up. So the first thing that we're going to sew is the center back. So if you're not sure, like which 2 pieces are the front, which are the back. So remember, for the back pattern piece, we cut 3 notches in the center back. So find where you have 1, 2, 3 notches, and that'll let you know that that is the center back. So you can go ahead and pin along. Alright, after you're done pinning, now we're going to sew a 5/8 of an inch seam along the center back. Alright, starting down at the bottom of the jacket, we're going to use a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Go ahead and lower your needle, begin sewing, backstitch, and sew all the way up until you get to the top. Alright, once you get to the end, go ahead and backstitch. Alright, and you want to go ahead and finish off this raw edge, and you want to go ahead and press it all going towards the same direction. So it doesn't matter to the left or to the right. Just make sure the whole entire seam allowance is going one way. Now that the back is sewn and you have this pressed out, you want to lay it with the right side facing up. Next, you want to grab 2 of your pockets. And you want to find, so remember on each side there are some clippings. We made one up here at the top, and then we made another one a little bit farther down. So working with this one farther down, this one marked our pocket. You want to take one of your pockets and you want to place it with the right sides. So the right side is touching the right side. So you're lining up this top edge of the pocket with that notch that we made. Once those two are lined up, you can go ahead and pin along this edge here. Alright, doing the same thing with this other pocket. Alright, now grab your 2 front pieces and your pocket pieces, and you want to open these up. Now make sure that the right sides for both of them are facing up, and you also want to find the notch that we made on the side. So remember, we have one notch higher up and then we made one a little bit lower. Find the lower one, take one of your pockets, and it's going to be this one, and you want to make sure that the right sides are facing each other. And you're going to do the same thing, lining up the top edge with that notch that we made on the side, and you're going to pin that in place. Alright, you're going to do the same thing on the other side, and we're also going to baste this pocket into place. Alright, starting down at the bottom of the pocket, go ahead and line it up with your presser foot. Lower your needle, begin sewing, backstitch, and go ahead and press this out. Lay your back piece with the right side facing up. Next, take your front piece and you want to lay it right on top. And we're going to pin along the shoulder edge here. So we made some notches in our shoulder. So you can find where you made those clippings and line those up and pin there. And then next you want to add some more pins along this shoulder, and then we are going to take it to our machine and sew a 5/8 of an inch seam. Alright, go ahead and line up the shoulder with 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Lower your needle, begin sewing, backstitch, the sleeve, I like to hem the bottom before I get started working on it. So still looking at the wrong side of your sleeve, all the way down at the bottom. Let's go ahead and hem this now. So what you want to do is take your index card or your seam gauge, and you want to roll up the bottom to a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then you want to press that into place. Then after you're done pressing it once, you want to open it up, and then you want to now fold the bottom until it meets that crease line, and then you want to fold it in again. This is going to hide that raw edge. And then we will take it to our sewing machine and we will do a top stitch on the right side. Alright, go ahead and turn your sleeve to the right side, and we're going to hem the bottom, making sure that it is lined up with the edge of our presser foot. So go ahead and lower your needle, begin sewing, back stitch, sew all the way until the end, and back stitch again. Alright, so on our sleeve we made 1, 2, 3 dots, and these are marking where we need to ease our sleeve. So in between these 3 dots we're going to run a basting stitch. First we'll sew 5/8 of an inch, and then we will sew a second row of stitches at a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And we are using basting stitches because we will be gathering this to ease our sleeve into our jacket. Alright, to create our ease stitches or gathering stitches, we're going to start at the farthest dot that we made at the sleeve, and we're going to line that up with 5/8 of an, line up our fabric with 5/8 of an inch. Go ahead and lower your needle, and make sure you remember to turn your stitch length to the longest one that is on your machine to do the gathers. So go ahead and begin sewing, back stitch, and keep sewing. Just passed up that middle dot, keep going. And now I just got to the third dot. Do not back stitch. Go ahead and raise your presser foot, raise your needle, and pull out your threads. Make sure that you leave yourself a nice long tail. And then now we're going to line up the edge with a 1/4 of an inch. Once again, starting at the farthest dot. Lower your needle, begin sewing, back stitch, and keep sewing until you get to that third dot.